let me show you a little bit about what I got going on here. So basically, this is the big ass calendar for 2024. It's a year at a glance view of the year, starting at January, February, March, April, May, all the way down to December, right? And the reason I bought this calendar is because there's this business guy that I follow, and he recommends planning your life before you plan your work, because that work is going to fill in a lot of these days. But we forget to plan our life. And I'm reminded constantly how short and how precious life is. So I bought this calendar to help keep me on track. There's two things that he recommends. The first, he recommends that you plan something that he calls a misogi. That is not what the word means. But basically, it's a year-defining event. It's like one big thing that you're going to do or go to or accomplish this year. So mine this year, it could be a trip, it could be a marathon, it could be anything you want it to be. But it's like when you look back on 2024, what will that thing be that stands out? Last year, for me, it was my trip to Big Bear with my family, and I met up with my family in California. This year, it's going to be a trip to Missouri that we're going to take in July for 4th of July. So it's on the calendar, it's planned, plane tickets are bought, and we're going to do it. The second thing he recommends is that every other month, 6 times a year, you do one new adventure, right? Something that you wouldn't normally do. For me, I want to go to the Grand Canyon, right? I have a trip where I'm going to take my daughter to Universal Studios. It could be a hike, it could be a camping trip, anything, just something out of the ordinary, something you wouldn't normally do. 6 new adventures a year. The purpose of this, he says, like if you're 40 right now and you live to be 80, at the end of that life, you have 40 big year-defining things that you did or accomplished, and 240 mini adventures that you had with yourself, your wife, your family. Is that a pretty great life? When I ask myself that question, the answer is absolutely yes. But there's so many things that I want to do, but I just don't make them a priority, and this is going to help me do it. Another thing I'm doing, I have my badass planner that I created. On that planner, at the end of every day, there's a place for me to write down my successes for the day. This is really good for me to keep up my energy, because I can look back on my week and see, oh, when I'm feeling like I didn't accomplish a lot, I can look back and see, actually, I accomplished a ton, because we forget, right? I look back on 2023 and I'm like, what did we even do? The big trip is the only thing I really remember. We forget about the time that we spend. I was talking to another person about this, and she's like, I don't know what my thing was last year. We did like 6 vacations, and I stopped and I was like, how about the fact that you got engaged in Las Vegas last year? She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot it. We forget unless we really sit down and think. But what I'm doing to help me with that, just like with my successes for each day, is I am putting in any quality time that I spend with somebody that I love, whether that be my wife, my kids, family, friends. I'm putting it on the calendar, right? So January 1, we did a New Year's Eve party for the kids. The next day I went to the park with the kids. I made cocoa bombs with my daughter. I worked out with my kids here. I watched a show with my son, and me and my daughter had a moment in the car where she was singing a song, and it just brought me so much joy. I put that on the calendar. Work, work, work. Jiu-jitsu with kids. Meeting up with a friend. Going to the Knights game. Batting cages with my son. Park day with my kids. Right? Like, it's all on here. Any bit, like this morning, I didn't put it on here yet, but this morning, me and my son, we played like a paddle ball or something like that in the living room, and we had like 10 or 15 minutes of quality time together. It's going on the calendar so that I can look up at this calendar at the end of this year, and every green space or every filled in space is a reminder of the time that I've been spending, so that I can feel much better about my year and the way that I'm spending my time than I ever have before. I'm doing this. You don't need the calendar to do it. I don't get paid if you go buy this. Wish I did. I really should get paid for that. But you could do this simply in your Google Calendar, or you can write it down in your notes so that you can look back and have a list of everything that you did or accomplished or spent quality time. That's what I'm doing this year. So no matter what happens in my business or my businesses, no matter what happens, ultimately, at the end of my life, what I'm going to look back on is, should I have spent more time with my family? I don't want to be there at the end of my life wishing that I had. I want to make it a priority now. And this calendar is helping me do that. I hope that helps you this year in maybe making your family, your friends, your spouse a priority. And I talk a lot about making ourselves a priority, as I believe that's the number one thing we need to do, because everybody is depending on us feeling our best and the energy that we put out. But the next thing is wife and kids. We need to make those things a priority too, because I want to be in balance as much as I can, and this is helping me get there. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.